Tony. Did you hear what the Washington football team member on the network was saying?
I didn't.
He was saying all kinds of nonsense in his Chargers preview. Here's just a small piece of it.
We're going to kick the Chargers' ass.
Quite frankly, you need to go back to the drawing board because your game absolutely sucks. And there's two things you can do about it. Absolutely nothing and like it.
And take this L.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Touchdown, San Diego! Woo!
It's Brisket Friday. It's Brisket Friday. Yeah, we're 1-0. No big deal. Tony Tucker, Mike on the mic here with nuts and bolts. We told you we were going to win. And I think our score predictions are actually pretty close, too, from last week. I think I was off by 1 point. I think I had a 21-17. You had what was yours, 28-24?
I was a little high. I went 29-24.
Yeah, we were super close on the score prediction. It went exactly as we planned it, minus the part where the refs tried to take the game away.
Oh, the worst call. This is the thing about instant replay. If you're going to have instant replay and you can go frame by frame, just get it right. The ball, he's clearly got the ball in his hand. It's going forward. And then it gets whatever. Still got the W.
Yeah.
Pulled it off their helmet.
And it's crazy that kept this game even close. Like Washington fans and even just fans of the NFL and Dallas Cowboys fans. We're going to get into the Dallas Cowboys fans. Ridiculous. Trust me. Ridiculousness about this whole DeMarcus Lawrence and how he's not going to hurt them that much. I've seen a couple people say it, so we're going to talk about that later. But anyway, seeing all the fans of the team saying Justin Herbert wasn't that impressive. Guys, he got 2 touchdowns taken away via drops, and he got that touchdown taken away via a bad call that was reviewed and still stood as a bad call. Never seen it.
Wait, who's saying that he didn't play well? Is this Cowboys fans or
and Washington fans and everyone, basically? Everyone. I'm not even going to go down the list. But he played amazing in that game. I think he converted 15 third downs or 14 third downs. That's insane. That's some Philip Rivers stuff right there.
I can't remember precisely, but didn't they get the ball like inside their 15 with 6 minutes to go? And then he just matriculated down the field, smoked them, ran the clock out,
and
securing the W. And got the kneel? Got the knee? Got the victory formation? Played bad.
Anyways, I will say this. Offensive player of the game, I'm giving it to Rashawn Slater. 81 snaps, Tony, in his rookie debut, his first career game. 0 QB pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed, 0 QB hits allowed, 0 anything allowed. He was a wall on Sunday. Very impressive, and he's looking like he was the right pick in that spot. Thank you to whoever made him fall to us, because we have needed a franchise left tackle forever. And he didn't do this against no scrubs. He's playing scrubs this weekend. Last weekend, he was playing one of the best defensive lines. They absolutely wrecked the Giants O-line last night. I'm so impressed by Rashawn Slater.
And Brian Baldinger, offensive lineman guru for the NFL Network, said he was the best rookie in week 1 of all the rookies who played football. And then he took it a step further and said the best left tackle in all of football was Rashawn Slater in week 1. Now, he's not saying he's the best now. He just said his play in week 1, best left tackle in football in week 1.
Yeah, and if you're watching the replay, be sure to drop in the comments and let us know any thoughts you guys have. Live chat, if you guys are watching us live, we appreciate you for tuning in live. By the way, I believe that Rashawn Slater was a top 5 out of the entire league when it comes to PFF grades. And I don't take too much into PFF grades, but they do give you, especially for individual games, kind of an idea of how well the player played in top 5, not just of the rookies or the rookie left tackles, of offensive linemen in the league this weekend, which is amazing. Defensive player of the game, I'm giving it to Derwin James and his return. So we have 2 players, offensive and defensive player of the game for me, that did not play last year. Additions to this team this year. 55 snaps, which was all the defensive snaps for Derwin James. Thank you so much for that. 7 tackles, and he was coming in like a rocket. I mean, no tackles for loss credited, but I'm pretty sure that he shut down at least like 4 or 5 plays, 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, basically tackles for loss. One pass defense, we saw he almost got the pick early on in the game. He got a 90.4 PFF grade, which was the second highest graded safety in the entire league this last weekend. So we got some stars shining out there. Defensive player of the game. I want to give a shout out to Bosa too. He was getting a lot of pressure in there. There was the one penalty that was ticky-tacky anyway. I mean, it's the NFL. That's the way it is. You saw the Chase Young one last night where Chase Young, he just like kind of fell on him too hard is what they said. And he gets
they're landing like this. They're like opening. There's nothing they could do. They ruined Clay Matthews' career. You can't play with that sort of reckless abandon that you used to play with. Now I get coming over the middle, head hunting, going at players' knees, but now you have to land and roll and let that player. They're risking injuries to defensive players because they want to make it such an offensive game. And if I was a defensive player, I'd be pissed. That's
something that I've preached to whenever people talk about it. And that's why I get so upset when I see things like happened in Philadelphia in the last game last year where the team stops trying, because the few players that are trying, even the defense, the players you're going against when you're not trying, is going to lead to more injuries than when everyone goes full speed. So to tell the defensive end when he goes to bring down the quarterback to soften your landing mid-tackle, you're asking for him to reach out his arm. God forbid something bad happens to anyone. You're asking for the QB not to expect a big hit, and now all of a sudden he gets a big hit and he's not bracing for it. You're just creating all kinds of problems. You need to let the game be played to a certain extent. And I agree with, do not let them dive at the quarterback's knees. Joey Bosa's, he just wrapped around the thigh area and got called for it. Not a hit. He didn't dive. He didn't lead with his helmet. He had him wrapped with his arms like this and brought him down gently and gets a roughing the passer penalty, which could have cost us the game when you look at it. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I can't.
Anyways, no negativity. Enough negativity. We won. That's the moral of the story. The Chargers are 1-0, and we're moving on to play another NFC least team. So glad to play that division this year because the Giants didn't look too good last night. We play them later on in the year. But here's the injury report for the upcoming game. We're going to look at it. I'll read this off for you, Tony, in case you can't see it because I know that you're blind and old. But anyways, Brian Bulaga, we saw him exit the game, and Storm Norton finished it. And is seriously concerned about Bulaga here because last year he missed almost the entire season, and it was the same thing. He'd come back for a couple quarters and be out for a couple of weeks, and he kept trying. And he is considered day-to-day. He's having back and groin and thigh and all kinds of issues right now. So I don't expect him to play this weekend. He did not practice on Thursday. Not sure if he practiced today, even in a limited fashion. I think in order for him to play this weekend, we need to see a limited practice today and then a full practice tomorrow in the walkthroughs. Derwin James, he returned to practice Thursday. There's a little bit of a scare with a toe injury, missed practice on Wednesday, but he's a full practice, so he's ready to play this weekend. Chris Harris Jr., a little worried about him because there's not very much news. There's a typo in there, too. The Chargers continue to be down. Defensive starting DB Chris Harris Jr. with a shoulder injury. He did not practice today, or yesterday. So hopefully we see him practice today. These reports haven't come out yet because it's early Friday if you're watching the replay of this. Nasir Adderley, he had a groin injury, but he did finish the game. He did not practice. That might be a cautionary thing. Seeing him finish the game last weekend lets me know that he's probably good to go this weekend, but we will keep an eye on that. And also some not so as big of names, I guess, or our kicker, Vizcaino, illness, did not practice, just assuming that's probably a cautionary thing. Illness, did not test positive for COVID. There's no news of that, so let's just hope and pray that it's nothing like that because then the whole team's in trouble. Defensive tackle Justin Jones with a calf injury did not practice. A little bit worried about him. He made a few plays this last weekend. I don't know if you guys saw. Edge rusher Kyler Fackrell, a new addition to the team. He did not practice with a knee injury. And cornerback Trey Marshall. He has an ankle, but he did have a full practice, so he's probably making his Chargers debut. Did not play in game one. He's a depth corner. Not too important. But when you look at the Cowboys, Tony, I don't like to be happy about injuries, except for when they're playing the Chargers the next weekend. Edge rusher DeMarcus Lawrence is on injured reserve with a foot injury, I believe. Wide receiver Michael Gallup is on injured reserve. Safety Donovan Wilson has a groin injury. Groin injury is very hard to come back from when you suffer them. So close to the game, did not practice. DeMonte Kazee, I think he has a groin injury as well. That might be a typo also, but he did not practice. That's both their starting safeties, their best pass rusher, and one of their starting wide receivers, all up in the air And if I'm making a call on it, groin injuries, probably all not playing this weekend, Tony.
Yeah, let's just say this. Vizcaíno is on the injury report because he was sick last weekend, knocking through all of his field goals and hitting all of his extra points. That's why he's there. Chargers have a kicker. I love that. I will say the most concerning thing is that when I look at this injury report, we're playing a team that threw the ball 58 times last week. Mike McCarthy loves to throw the football and neglect running back. So maybe by something, Jerry comes and taps him and says, hey, I gave Zeke millions of dollars. I want to see him get the ball more. Maybe that benefits us. But all those injuries in there, hopefully Adderley plays, is a bit of a concern because you got Cedric Wilson isn't that much of a drop off from Michael Gallup. I mean, there's a difference there, but it's the third option on that team, Jarwin and Schultz. So if they throw the ball 50 times and we have injuries in the secondary, that's a touch concerning. The Bulaga injury, I mean, again, Baldinger was praising the play of the offensive line, and he said Corey Lindsey can elevate the play of Abuji. Help me say it? Abushi.
Yeah, he helps out the guards a lot.
And the son of a meteorologist, Storm Norton. When he who's ever filling in, Corey Lindsey makes these people better, so we're not that worried. We'd like Bulaga out there, but again, Corey Lindsey has a great effect on everybody on that offensive line.
Yeah, Bushi had the one penalty, and Filer didn't. He had a pretty clean game, but overall, our guards, which were probably the only spots on the line where we have some questions other than Brian Bulaga with the injury issues, our guards played very well as well. I mean, the whole offensive line dominated that game. And it was good to see, sorry, New York Giants fans, it was good to see the D line of Washington do very well against the New York Giants line. That gives me some confidence that we had something to do with slowing down their defensive line. Now, I want to talk about this, and I was watching it at the gym because whenever I'm doing pregame reviews, I watch the Chargers ones because I want to support them, make sure I smash their like button. Everyone guilty as charged, Locked On Chargers, the director, all those guys. If you guys watch them too, but I also like to go and watch the Dallas Cowboys content creators and listen to what they're saying. And I heard the Cowboys content creator say that he thinks that Micah Parsons is going to be a better pass rusher for them this weekend than what DeMarcus Lawrence would have been.
What?
That's the delusional Dallas Cowboys fan base for you right there. That's one of their leaders. He has 7,000 followers. I'm not going to say by name because I'm not trying to send y'all at them. But they think that Micah Parsons is going to fill in an edge rusher for the rest of this season or for however long DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out. I don't think that even is an option for the Dallas Cowboys. When you look at Micah Parsons, he's 6'3", 245 pounds. That's a massive man. But when you're talking about DNs, for example, last week when we went against Chase Young, he's 6'5", 265 pounds, and probably just a little bit slower than Micah Parsons. I mean, just a little bit. We saw Chase Young running stride for stride with wide receivers down the sideline, like Kenny Golladay and Saquon Barkley even last night when they were chasing him down. So I don't understand how Cowboys fans could think that they're going to just have Parsons rush off the edge and he's going to do better against our tackles and guards than Chase Young did. But go ahead, think that.
That just feels like wishful thinking. You're hurt because you lose somebody it was a broken foot, I believe. So it's 6 to 8 weeks for D-Law. Mm-hmm. And I would prefer D-Law be in the game and Gallup be in the game because I want to see the Chargers beat the best of the best of what the other team has to offer, right? But when they're not there, the idea that you think Micah Parsons, a rookie who's still trying to figure things out, is going to replace a guy who's a Pro Bowler, who got a huge amount of money for what he does, and that's go get quarterbacks. You think all of a sudden a kid who's really playing on instinct right now, you're just going to set him loose and he's going to beat whatever tackle he's going after? I just don't see. And if he becomes a problem, then we put Roundtree back there to chip a little bit, or, we let Eckler fake him out, slip past him for a little screen pass, do, touchdown, boom.
Yeah, and one of their backup D linemen are coming out, and he put on Twitter, I don't know about all these reports, the Chargers line being good, but when I played against Brian Bulaga last year, a couple years ago when he was in Green Bay, I got to the quarterback a lot. And then a reporter for the Chargers found his stat line, that exact player's stat line from that game, just zeros across the board. He just lied. He just lied on Twitter to everyone.
Well, sometimes you play a game inside your head, and then there's the game on the field. And sometimes you report the stats from the game that goes on in your head, you know?
Yeah, the quote was, I think, I got to the quarterback a lot. I think that was the exact quote, and he has zero anything in that game. So just completely coming out in line. Look at Storm Norton season. We got some Storm Norton fans in here.
Storm Norton! I'll just say this.
Star.
Well, never mind. I'll move on. I was going to make a dumb joke, but I love this. We're all for dumb jokes here?
Yeah.
It's already, the moment's gone.
Okay.
The Storm Norton thing, I'm okay with it. Like, obviously, like we said, we want Bulaga, but I feel and have confidence that Storm Norton will be just fine against a depleted Dallas line. I was getting into it last night on the stream during the Thursday Night Football watch party with a Cowboys fan, and he said he's going to come find me, which I was fine because he subscribed to the channel. Appreciate that. But he said that he's going to come find me if the Cowboys do win, because I was talking all sorts of smack about what Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and how everybody was going to eat. That Zeke had better brought spoons for everybody so that he can share with the Chargers, because it's just going to be Chargers double dipping like this.
What are you thinking? I'm thinking a bunch of big plays if both these safeties are out and they bring the backups in. I mean, they have Malik Hooker who can play. I don't think he even dressed out for week 1 though. So like, how prepared is he to come out here and replace guys that actually play decent against the Buccaneers, in my opinion?
So here's my problem with all these injuries. You have a defense that was terrible last year. Like, they were on a historic pace to be bad. You bring in a new defensive coordinator, learning a new scheme, a bunch of rookies on that defense, and now you're putting injuries in there? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I get that they had a few extra days to prepare for this week's matchup, and that bodes well for them to put together game plans or whatever. But do we think overnight that Dan Quinn is just going to flip on the head? Now all of a sudden this defense is just going to get it on the road for the second consecutive week? I don't see it. Maybe they have a great game. I just don't see the road to success that way.
Yeah, we're in for a shootout, but I beg the question, are we in for a shootout? Because our defense is going to be intact for the most part. We got Chris Harris Jr. up in the air. That's it. And yes, he's a key piece in this defense, but it's looking like Asante Samuel is going to be our CB1 in the long term. And it looks like it's probably going to be sooner rather than we're thinking later, because he played very well against Washington, made the one mistake, and it was a PI call, and it actually wasn't a mistake. He got burnt, but he took, I'm going to take PI versus the touchdown, which is what you like to see, and the Chargers got the stop for a field goal, so it was actually a good play. Simply Dab YT said, I'd rather go Storm Norton at right guard than Schofield at left guard and Filer at right tackle, or right guard, right tackle. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, that is another option. So Filer dueled at tackle for the Steelers a little bit when they had injuries. So Filer actually can move to right tackle, and we could bring in Schofield at guard. But I think the Chargers can straight up play Storm Norton if Bulaga's out. Norton was okay in the last game. He wasn't bad. He didn't have any penalties. And even if he isn't, at the level of Bulaga against this D-line without DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory, who has COVID, I didn't put him on the injury report, I feel pretty good still. We're storming the Norton. Yeah, the run game. That's something I want to talk about. Are you concerned about this run game? We'll get to our X-Factor players right after this. I am a little bit concerned that the Cowboys wisen up and just pound the rock. The Chargers struggled against the run against Gibson, struggled against the run all year last year, struggled against the run all the years before that, and since I've been alive. But since Sean Merriman was on the team. Are you worried about Zeke having a big game instead of, them going and throwing 60 times? If you told me they threw it 55 times, I'd probably put money down that we won the game.
I agree with that. This is my hope secretly, because I do worry about Zeke being able to have success running the football, especially after what I saw Antonio Gibson do. But I'll say this, if the Chargers can get a 7-0 lead, let's get McCarthy shook. Let's get him in his head and Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore is like doing all this stuff. Because I saw another report, I forget what show I was watching, but they said Kellen Moore, he put a little bit of blame on Dak for the lack of running in that game. He said, I called 28 run plays. Dak checked out to something else. So if Kellen Moore is calling it, maybe Dak is like, hey, I see something else. I see the ability to take advantage of this or whatever. Keep doing it. Keep alienating your best friend and just keep putting the ball in the air. That's what I would like, personally, would like to see, because I think that if we're going to have a game that comes down to a shootout, I like Justin Herbert more than I like Dak Prescott.
I like that take. I love both those guys. That's what's crazy about it. But I'm a sucker for those quarterbacks that just play with unbelievable passion. They just have fun out there, and that's both Dak and Herbert. So I'm having a ton of fun watching this game. I almost bought a ticket to go. It came up on my story. Someone was putting it up. They said $200, one ticket, and I almost pulled the trigger, Tony. But I want to be here for the halftime show. That's not it. Here's my X Factor player. For us, I got Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa has those games early in the season, usually within the first 6 to 8 weeks, where he just takes over. I think this can be an opportunity. They're down Lyle Collins at tackle. He's going against backups over there. And this could be a game where Joey Bosa has 3 sacks or 2 sacks and a bunch of QB pressures and hits on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's athletic, but we saw what Joey Bosa did to Josh Allen last year. And that game was absolutely ridiculous. That was his career best game. 3 sacks and was just murdering everyone that came across his path. But I think that he can disrupt this pass game more than anything. Yes, the DBs are important and they got to stick in coverage. But if Bosa's dragging Dak Prescott to the ground on every single play, the DBs don't have as much stress on their shoulders. And then for the Cowboys, I got the coaching staff and basically the offensive play calling in general. No balance last weekend versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, their linebackers are amazing. But like I said before, if you tell me they threw the ball 55 times again, I'm happy. I'm excited about it because our run defense is probably the weakest part of our team right now a little bit. After seeing Gibson, I'm not too confident saying that. I think Kenneth Murray can get into a groove and become that hawk down running backs kind of style of linebacker. And also they're still probably learning Brandon Staley's whole system. It's a little bit complicated and they're playing the linebacker position. So they got to cover and they got to come and play run defense. But if you tell me that they threw the ball as much as they did last weekend, I feel really good about the Chargers winning this game because we are more balanced and our team is more complete than this team. So if they want to throw the ball a million times and throw 3 interceptions, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can see Joey Bosa getting a lot of 3rd and longs, right? That if they aren't running the ball successfully at the early part, of the downs, that they can get some 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and he can really pin his ears back, get some good coverage that way. Having James, hopefully Adderley plays, and Chris Harris Jr., and you get some coverage opportunities where Dak holds that ball 3.5 seconds, and then all of a sudden he gets imprinted with a 97. Smack! Right across the back. Take that, sucker!
Oh, man, he gets him so many times that Dak gets tat after the game, 97 on his back.
Oh, I do. Right in the small of his back. Just a Bosa tramp stamp right across the middle of his back. Pow!
His jersey number actually changes mid-game to 97 also.
This is a lightning bolt smeared right across the star. Joey
Anyways,
Bosa.
Here's yours, Tony. I made this graphic for you. How beautiful does it look? You got your little helmet there. You got your X Factors. Go ahead and take it away.
It's gorgeous. We just need to eventually let the lightning shove the Cowboys off this image, and it will be my backdrop moving forward. But my X Factors is the run game for this side, right? Like I need to see Roundtree, who outsnapped Jackson last week, and I like the way that if he can set an aggressive tone against this front that's all banged up, and maybe see the same thing that this kid's saying about Micah Parsons being the pass rusher, I'm kind of okay with that. Let the younger kids that they're playing, maybe they played Jabril Cox in this game too because of injuries. Let's take advantage of over-aggressive youth on Dallas' side of the football and maybe catch them, gash them with some runs. And then I want to see Eckler more involved in the passing game. Like I just need to see whatever it is. I don't know if they were taking it easy because of the hamstring, or I just need to see more out of him in the pass game. And on the other side for Dallas is like, how can you minimize the big plays from these guys? Like who can you, is there a way that we can still, have one-on-one coverage with tight ends and Cedric Wilson and be able to pay a little bit more attention to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb? Like if they can find a way to minimize the big plays out of these two, not get beat deep by 2 really good wide receivers, I'm going to feel great about the opportunity to walk away with a W.
Yeah, and I think Brandon Staley can put together the game plan to do it. I'm expecting to see it, especially against more dynamic offenses this season, to see Derwin James play that star position that they're talking about. It's kind of an evolved safety position now. We're seeing Jalen Ramsey do it in Los Angeles last year a little bit and a lot in the first game this year. We saw a little bit from Derwin James last week. It's different. You're playing kind of, what would you call it? I don't even know how to call it. You're just free to do whatever he needs to do within his zone or within his assignment. He can come in and try and stop the run. They can use him as a blitzer. They can use him as a deep safety, as a corner. They can use him everywhere. Linebacker.
It's sort of Palomalu-esque, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you remember watching the Steelers, this isn't a new thing. It might be a new name or whatever, but Palomalu was very much that person that you would be like, where's Palomalu? Then all of a sudden you'd notice he was like the edge rusher on a play. He might drop back into coverage and get an interception. He might actually just like, he would start on one side and he would blitz on the other end. Like he would just run across the line of scrimmage, see if they were running a drag route. They weren't. Boom, he's up and he's getting the quarterback. So like, you have somebody like Derwin James, if he's healthy, use him to the best of his ability. And we haven't even talked about Kenneth Murray, right? Like he's another person that I think has if he can a little bit better at coverage, right? Like maybe there's a good opportunity here with Schultz and Jarwin to see what he can do.
Yeah. And they were involved. Schultz was involved last week. So that's a key part of the Dallas offense, clearly. Schultz, you can argue, was more involved than Ezekiel Elliott, which is interesting.
He threw it 58 times.
Yeah, interesting strategy, Cotton. But anyways, let's move on here. We go to the predictions for the game. We're going to do this every week and see if we can land any. I'm not sure if I landed any like stat predict. Oh, I said Jared Cook 2 touchdowns. Didn't happen, so I missed that one. But this week, Justin Herbert, over. I said 350 on my TikTok I'm dropping, but I'm saying 400 on this podcast. 400 yards, 4 total touchdowns. I'm going to say total because I think he may sneak one in rushing. Everyone's going to drop back scared of Mike Williams or 3rd and 7, and Justin Herbert takes off up the middle and gets one. So there we go. 4 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a beautiful game. A perfect game.
Was I supposed to be prepared for this? I don't know if I was or not.
Throw something out there, Tommy.
I'm going to throw something out there. You know how I do it. It's just coming off the top right now. And I'm going with Larry.
I knew it.
Larry Roundtree, plus 60 yards rushing and a touchdown in this game. Going to be like the number 1 ad if you play fantasy football. Get there a week early. This kid he's going to put up some numbers. He's going to get a dozen carries in this game because I think that there's going to be an early lead. And even if there isn't, I still believe in enough balance with the Chargers to keep running the football so that they can really work the passing game. Mike Williams, Keenan, and we're going to see my boy Joshua Palmer. We're going to see him at some point. I'm not ready to make that prediction yet.
It's coming. It's coming. We saw a little flash last week. That nice little catch. Better throw by Herbert than catch, but still a little flash.
Yeah.
A little flash. That was an amazing throw. Herbert had some crazy throws. I mean, he only made one bad throw the entire game. Score prediction?
A couple throws to the boundaries. I was just like, that's when you said people said he didn't play good. I'm like, what were you possibly watching to think that he didn't play good?
They didn't. They just look at the stat line. They don't see 4 touchdowns and they say sophomore slump. That's not how football works. It's not all about the stat line, ladies and gentlemen. That was Herbert's game last week and was a perfect example. That's why I was rooting for a touchdown at the end of the game there. Just someone break a tackle and take it. Because I didn't want to see Herbert's stat line only having 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I wanted to see the 2. But it's okay. We're going to get more this week against this Dallas Cowboys defense. Speaking of which, last week, so this is my score prediction. Last week, we saw Dallas. They gave the Super Bowl chance a run for their money. So I'm not going to call it crazy, but with all the injuries and everything, I don't think that Dallas is going to be as good on defense. They forced like 3 or 4 turnovers against Tom Brady. I don't think that's going to happen this weekend. So I'm actually going to give them a lower score projection of 28 points. Chargers score 38, win by 10 this week.
I love it. I also have the Chargers winning the home opener at SoFi. I like to call the Chargers the landlord because that other team is always like, this is our house. I say, well, good. Then go ahead and pay us our money because Bolts fans, we are the landlords of SoFi, getting the win 34-27 at home. Last week I called game-winning interception to end it. I'm going with the strip sack fumble this week to end the game from our boy Fackrell.
Oh, I like it.
Right?
Who recovers it? He gets the strip sack.
Lenball Joseph is laying on the ground and it falls on his big belly and it just like gets trapped underneath him and he's just doing his roll. He's like, hey, Lenball Joseph recovering.
You guys remember Brendan Meebane from the Chargers in the chat? Simply Dab, I want to point this out because this is a good point. He said the Chargers barely used the play action last week because of how good Washington football team are defending it. It's really because they're pass rush. By the time you get out of your play action, you're getting pressure already. Last year, Herbert was elite out of the play action. So let's see some more this weekend is what Simply Dab's saying. And I second that. I like that take.
I was going to comment on that. It's tough to use the play action against Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Ioannidis and all of them that they have there. And the key to beating a team like that is getting the ball up quickly. It's the same thing with the Bucs. It's tough to use play action because they're like, okay, sure, run into this front seven if you want, but we're still sending, some Adonises on the corners to go get your quarterback. And he might come out in that bootleg and get a chin strap full of, helmet. But against the Cowboys, I don't imagine that's not a fear for me. So I hope they run that play action quite a bit.
Ready to wrap it?
Yeah, there's one more comment there from Simply Dab.
I think the Chargers utilizing the play action more. Chargers offense has a whole new dynamic that they missed last week, making them more efficient in the red zone, and we score more points. Also, I think with Eckler getting another week to recover, Eckler wasn't on injury report, and he's been practicing fully. We have more of a threat there. That also may be the reason they didn't use play action because they didn't actually believe that Washington football team thinks that Eckler was going to get 25 carries on a messed up hamstring.
Yep, I want to see more confidence and trust in when they get into the red zone to allow Mike Williams to just be a superior athlete. Mm-hmm. To, if you're going to have Parham on the roster, get him out there on an island on somebody. Let's see some fades or some back shoulder throws to some of these more competent wide receivers.
Yep, let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. We will be live again next week, either Thursday or Friday. So just keep an eye out on the channel. Turn on notification bells. It'll alert you every time we go live. You see the Nuts and Bolts name, and you know that we're doing Chargers talk right here on the Warzone Sports Network. We're also live on the Nuts and Bolts Instagram page and the Warzone Sports Network Instagram page, and our personal pages, we'll be live on one of them. But definitely the Nuts and Bolts is the center every week at halftime, giving a quick halftime report. And you guys can actually join in and talk with us. We had Jake join us last week. Last season, I had a bunch of people join, like 10 different people join throughout the season. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. And if you guys want to, you can hop in to that show with us. That's it for us this week. Hopefully there isn't any Cowboys fans out there saying,
we're going to kick the Chargers' ass this weekend. We're going to kick the Chargers' ass.
White front.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
Don Coryell.